Have you ever found yourself feeling just constantly drained, scattered, maybe a bit restless, even when you haven't, done a ton of physical work? It's that feeling like you're running on empty, always chasing something, but never quite getting there, never feeling really full. Well, if that sounds familiar. You are definitely in the right place today. We're doing a deep dive into, well, energy, but maybe not how you usually think about it. It's about this whole idea of holistic energy. And our guide is this fascinating book by Reuben Juma Onunga. It's called The Power of Preserved Energy, Building a Strong Body, Sharp Mind, and Balanced Soul. What really grabbed us at Bang, and Onunga is his background. He's not, your typical guru. He's a professional civil and environmental engineer, lots of experience across Africa. So think about someone who deals with complex systems, right? Finding leaks, weak spots, managing flow. He brings that kind of analytical mind to, well, to us, to the human system. And he mixes that technical side with some really deep personal stuff. He's even navigated mental illness himself, which makes his perspective feel very real, very grounded. So his big idea: energy isn't just about sleep or food. He calls it the sacred currency of life. Wow. The silent wealth. It fuels everything: thoughts, emotions, actions. It covers mental, emotional, and, yes, even sexual vitality. It's all connected. So our mission today really is for you, to help you understand where your energy goes, how to spot those like hidden leaks and stop them, and figure out what it means to live with, a full tank, inner power. We're going to unpack how to save it, channel it for a stronger body, sharper mind, balanced soul. Okay, so let's unpack this sacred currency idea. We all get that we need energy, but why sacred? What's so crucial about his take on it?
Yeah, it's a great question. What Anand does is he really elevates the whole concept. It's not just fuel, like gasoline for a car. He calls it an invisible but priceless currency. Basically, it dictates the quality of your life, how you experience things. And he argues it's deeper than just calories in, calories out, or hours slept. Important, yes, but deeper. It's more like a fundamental life force. He uses this analogy that I think is really helpful. Think of your body as a lamp, and your energy, that's the oil. Now, if the oil's leaking out even just a little bit constantly, the flame dims, it sputters, doesn't matter how good the wick is.
Right. You keep trying to light it, but the fuel's just disappearing.
Exactly. And that explains why, so many people can look fine on the outside, busy, successful, maybe even look physically fit. But inside, they feel weary, distracted, unstable. It's those small, hidden leaks draining the oil.
That lamp analogy really works. It captures that feeling of disconnect. You're doing the things, but you're still running low. And it suggests the leak isn't always obvious, is it? It could be tiny.
Spot on. And this is where his engineering brain really shines. He pinpoints three main streams of this power inside us: mental energy, emotional energy, and sexual energy. But crucially, he says they're interconnected, like rivers that flow into one ocean.
Okay, so not separate tanks then.
No, not at all. So if you're wasting energy in one area, say your mind is just racing with worry, that's going to disturb your emotional state. And then that drains your physical get up and go. You can't really isolate them.
Right. So that feeling of being tired without cause, even when you think you've rested enough physically, it might not be about needing more sleep. It could be these other leaks, right? Mental drains, emotional stuff, or even, as he says, the sexual energy side.
Precisely. It's a totally different lens on managing our personal bandwidth, our vitality.
Which brings us to the really juicy part. Onunga, with that engineer's eye, he identifies specific leakages. The ways we unknowingly poke holes in our own energy vessel. So let's dig into these, because knowing them is the first step, right?
Yeah.
To actually plugging the leaks.
Absolutely. He sees these leaks as the biggest threat to our inner wealth, mainly because we often don't notice them, not until we're already feeling exhausted or out of whack. He breaks it down into three main areas where this energy just sort of dissipates.
Okay, first up, the mind, our mental energy. Big drain here. Restless thoughts, just that constant mental chatter. And we often buy into what he calls the myth of multitasking.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah, he's pretty blunt. Calls it a lie that robs the mind of clarity. It's not just that it's inefficient, it actually fragments your focus. Then there's worry, overthinking. He likens that to a candle burning at both ends. Constant noise, endless scrolling, getting into pointless arguments online or off, negative self-talk too, all big leaks. The result, you lose focus. And focus, he says, is the sharpest blade of mental energy. Thoughts get scattered, mind feels dull. Because division, he says, always weakens. That link between multitasking and it being a lie that steals clarity. That's strong. It's not just about doing less. It's about the cost of trying to do everything at once. So if someone feels stuck in that constant mental noise,
Yeah.
how does Onunga suggest you even start telling the difference
Yeah.
between a useful thought and just draining static?
He basically suggests an audit, like an engineer checking a system. You have to watch your thoughts, not just what you're thinking, but what's the effect. Does this line of thought lead somewhere useful to action or just more anxiety?
Right.
Does scrolling this feed sharpen you or leave you feeling scattered? It's about consciously filtering, like filtering out pollutants. Identify the mental noise, the pollution, and minimize it. Okay, second link, the heart, our emotional energy. The main culprits here are what he calls unguarded emotions, things like anger, resentment, jealousy, bitterness, and his descriptions are vivid. Heavy stones on the chest, an open wound.
Oof. Yeah.
These aren't just bad moods. He sees them as active drains on your vitality. Constant ego battles, holding on to old hurts, unprocessed feelings. He argues this stuff consumes strength incredibly fast, often more effectively than disease.
More effectively than disease. That's intense.
It is. It suggests emotional turmoil can be just as debilitating as being physically sick. It just drains your joy, steals your peace, and again, scatters your focus.
So what makes those heavy stones so draining? Is it the emotion itself or how we, deal with it or don't deal with it?
It's largely how we respond, or rather, how we hold on to them. Onunga's point is that these emotions, if you just let them sit there festering, they create internal friction. Imagine trying to drive with the handbrake on. You're burning fuel, but not going anywhere efficiently.
Okay. Makes sense.
Resentment, for example, you keep replaying the hurt. That takes energy, loads of it. Energy that could be going into something positive. He's not saying don't feel anger, but don't live there. Don't let it become this chronic leak. And the third leak are passions, specifically sexual energy. Now, this one's interesting. He calls it the most powerful force we have, but also the most misused.
Okay.
He sees it often treated just as, physical pleasure, and then squandered through overindulgence, maybe addictions, release without restraint, or, and this is key, without purpose.
Yeah.
His perspective here is quite challenging for modern sensibilities.
Most powerful, most misused. That definitely stands out. But help us unpack that. When he says release without restraint or purpose, what does misuse look like, practically speaking, beyond just, say, having too much sex? And what is the purpose he thinks this energy should serve?
Right. It's not about being prudish. It's about intelligent energy management. Misuse, in his view, is when this incredibly potent energy is just spent for a fleeting feeling, and it leaves you feeling empty afterwards, rather than building something. Think of it like pouring really high-grade oil onto the sand. It's wasted potential.
Instead of using it to power something.
Exactly. The purpose he talks about is its potential for transformation, fueling creativity, deepening love and connection, building discipline, driving ambition for higher goals. It's this raw, powerful life force.
Mm-hmm.
If you scatter it, he says, you end up with a tired body, dull mind. But if you conserve it, channel it. It can build and uplift everything else. It can be transmuted.
Poking holes in your own vessel. That phrase really sticks. It implies we're often doing this to ourselves. So the takeaway for you, listening, is that maybe, just maybe, you're the one causing the leak without even knowing. Recognizing these patterns, the mental churn, the emotional drains, the scattered passions, that's step one, which leads to the big question. If these are the leaks, how do we fix them? How do we stop the drain and start, filling the tank back up?
Right. And this is where Onunga moves from the problem to the solution. Practical steps. He stresses that it's not about suppressing these energies. Suppression, he says, kills vitality. It's about redirection, preservation. That's what gives life. It's a mindset shift. So for mental energy conservation, discipline of focus, that's key, his analogy. A river forced into a single channel cuts through rock.
Well,
powerful, right?
Yep.
So practically, block out noise, both external, like actual sound, and internal, like mental chatter. Think deliberately. Cultivate silence. He calls silence the whetstone upon which the blade of the mind is sharpened.
the whetstone of silence.
Right.
Thick.
Reflection, deep study, meaningful conversations where you're actually present. These build mental energy. He notes that the great thinkers, scientists, writers, they weren't necessarily geniuses who knew everything. They were masters of attention. They could block out noise and hold their attention upon one thing until it yielded its secret.
That's inspiring, but also maybe a bit daunting for someone living in our noisy, distracting world.
Yeah.
What's the very first, simplest step Onunga would suggest to start cultivating that silence or focus?
He'd say start small. Like building anything, one brick at a time, maybe just 5 minutes of quiet, first thing in the morning, before the phone grabs you. Or go for a walk, leave the earbuds behind, just 5 minutes. It's not about achieving perfect Zen instantly. It's about creating pockets of quiet. Or maybe pick one task, just one, and give it, say, 25 minutes uninterrupted. Train that focus muscle. Then, for balancing emotional energy, awareness is the starting point. Noticing your feelings, he really emphasizes forgiveness, calls it an act of survival.
Survive.
Yeah. And the sealing of a crack that has been bleeding energy for years, letting go frees up so much energy. Gratitude is another big one. It's like refilling of the heart with joy that multiplies strength. It's about choosing your response, not just reacting. And having the humility to just step away from pointless fights. A balanced heart, he says, is like a tree with deep roots. Storms may come, but it does not topple.
Forgiveness is survival. That really reframes it. Can you say a bit more on how not forgiving drains us?
Yeah.
Because sometimes holding on to anger feels justified.
He puts it very practically. Holding resentment means you are constantly reliving the negative event in your mind and body. Your system stays in a low-level stress response. It's like picking at a wound every single day. That internal battle just eats up energy, mental energy, physical stamina, emotional peace, all diverted to keep that fight going internally. Forgiving, in his framework, isn't saying what happened was okay. It's cutting the energetic tie, releasing yourself from being bound to that past event so you get your energy back for the present. It's liberating yourself. And for sexual energy, to direction, mastery of passions. It's about consciously taking that fire of desire and transforming it into the light of creativity, the warmth of deep love, the heat of disciplined living. Practicing this builds inner discipline that, he argues, strengthens every part of your life.
Okay, but transforming fire into light, that sounds a bit abstract. Can you give some more concrete examples? How does someone actually do that redirection day to day?
Sure. Think about an artist pouring an intense emotion, maybe even frustration or longing, into creating something beautiful. That's transmutation. Or an entrepreneur channeling that inner drive, that fire, into solving a really complex problem, working relentlessly. In a relationship, it might mean consciously channeling that energy into building deeper emotional connection, working on shared goals together, not just physical release. For someone else, maybe it's using that core vitality to fuel rigorous physical training or intense study or spiritual practice. The main point isn't denial, it's realizing this energy is incredibly potent. When guarded and directed with intention, it becomes this hidden reservoir of strength, creativity, and spiritual depth. It fuels a deeper kind of fulfillment rather than just draining away.
That's a really different way to think about it. Not suppression, but skillful redirection. And what's so compelling is how these inner energies, the mental, emotional, sexual, they're not just in our heads. They connect directly to our physical health, our bodies, and even our success in the world.
Exactly. Onunga sees the body as a living battery, designed to store energy, release energy. So our physical vitality, how resilient we are, how well we recover, it's all tied to how we manage these inner energy flows. Take rest, for example. He doesn't just mean sleep. He calls it the very soil in which strength is renewed. One of the greatest secrets of physical renewal. It's fundamental for recharging that battery. Conserving energy for the body also means things like purposeful movement, exercise that circulates energy but doesn't deplete you unnecessarily, balanced nutrition, obviously, and also, interestingly, intentional stillness, just being still to recharge. When you manage things this way, the results are tangible. Faster recovery after exercise, sleep that actually restores you, better posture, more alert eyes, a steady walk. You just radiate vitality. He sees the body as this integrated system.
It does sound like he's applying engineering principles to the body itself. Input to outputs efficiency. How does he suggest we know if our recharging is actually working? Like, how do we know if our rest is truly restorative?
He'd point to the results, the output. Are you waking up feeling genuinely refreshed, not just getting less tired?
There's a difference.
Do you have sustained energy through the day without needing constant hits of caffeine or sugar? Is your mind clear? Can you focus? Those are the signs your battery is actually being charged and maintained properly, not just getting a superficial boost. And then there's the link to success. Onunga points out a common trap, equating success with endless struggle, which just leads straight to burnout. A candle burning at both ends, again.
Yeah, we see that everywhere.
He notes how many people are constantly busy yet rarely fruitful. Sound familiar?
Ouch, yes.
His solution isn't work harder, work longer. It's work smarter with your energy. It's about conserving and channeling energy wisely, aligning it with a clear purpose. He uses the secret of the river analogy again. Scattered water just sits there, stagnates. but channel that same water. It gains the power to cut through rock.
That makes perfect sense. It's about direction and concentration of force, not just volume. So if someone feels like they are that busy but not fruitful person, what's the first step Onunga would suggest to figure out if their energy is aligned or just scattered?
He'd probably suggest some honest self-reflection, a personal energy audit. Ask yourself, are my main activities today truly serving a deeper purpose, something I genuinely value long-term? Or am I just reacting, putting out fires, responding to other people's demands, distractions?
Right. Purposeful action versus reaction.
Yeah. Visualize your energy as that river.
Hmm.
Is it flowing powerfully towards something meaningful, or is it trickling away into dozens of little unproductive streams? Getting that alignment, that's where true efficiency, lasting success, and that feeling of quiet power come from. And the ability to actually rest without feeling guilty because you know your energy is being well spent when you are active.
That's a game changer for how we think about productivity. So shifting gears slightly, but still connected.
Yeah.
What about relationships? Onunga has some pretty direct thoughts here too, doesn't he? About who we let into our lives, calling every interaction an exchange of energy.
Oh, absolutely. This is a huge piece of the puzzle, and often one we don't pay enough attention to. His core idea is that human connection is never neutral. It's always an exchange, either a deposit or a withdrawal. You either gain energy or you lose it. Simple as that, in his view. He uses this striking distinction. People are either fountains or leeches.
Okay, tell me more. Fountains versus leeches.
Fountains are people who replenish you. They inspire, they strengthen, they bring a sense of calm. He says spending time with them actually feels like rest. You leave feeling better, fuller.
We all know people like that.
Then there are the leeches. They tend to carry chaos. They demand constant attention, stir up drama, complain endlessly. They just weigh you down with negativity. Talking to them leaves you feeling drained, as though life itself has been siphoned away.
It's easy to point fingers and label others as leeches.
Yeah.
But does Onunga talk about how we might sometimes be the drain, unintentionally? And how do we notice that in ourselves and maybe correct it? That feels important too.
That's a great point. He absolutely encourages that self-awareness. The implication is that anyone can become a drain if their own energy isn't managed. If you're constantly seeking validation, if your emotions are unguarded, if you haven't sealed your own mental leaks, you might inadvertently pull energy from others.
Okay.
His solution: focus on managing your own energy first. Seal your own leaks. The more you build your own inner reservoir, the less needy you become energetically, and the more likely you are to become a fountain for others. It starts with self-mastery, and he highlights sexual relationships as magnifying this energy exchange principle. Intimacy isn't just physical, he stresses, it's deeply energetic. It can create powerful bonds, for better or worse.
Right.
He cautions that relationships that are careless, exploitative, or just unbalanced, they become major energy drains, weakening both people. But bonds built on love, respect, shared purpose, and discipline, they can actually multiply energy, making both people stronger.
That adds another layer to the importance of choosing partners wisely.
Yeah.
Deep energetic consequences. And to protect this precious energy, he talks about boundaries, right? Even with family.
Yes, boundaries are critical. He calls them walls with gates.
Walls with gates, okay.
Walls to protect your inner resources, your energy, your peace, but gates to consciously choose what and who you allow in, what's life-giving. This prevents even someone with strong energy reserves from being slowly drained by constant demands or negativity. And for anyone who finds setting boundaries difficult, especially with loved ones, Onunga reframes it. It's not selfish, it's necessary self-preservation. It's about ensuring you have energy to give meaningfully instead of being bled dry.
That's a really empowering way to look at boundaries, protecting your capacity to contribute. So the call here is to be discerning. Really think about who adds to your energy and who takes away. And like he says, it's not about being mean, it's survival and being wise with your most vital resource. Okay, let's get super practical now. Onunga gives actual daily practices, right, to become an energy master.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's very clear. Just knowing this stuff isn't enough. Awareness alone is not enough. It must be translated into practice. Because these leaks happen in our normal, everyday routines, habits we don't even notice. So he offers specific techniques. And the emphasis is on daily consistency, not huge, heroic efforts. First, cultivation of silence. Finding moments of quiet in our noisy lives. He calls it a refuge. It lets thoughts settle, sharpens the mind, soothes emotions, recharges the inner battery, then rest. And again, not just sleep, but the very soil in which strength is renewed. This means building in short, intentional pauses throughout the day, actually stopping.
In our world that just bombards us with noise and demands,
Finding silence feels hard. What's the absolute simplest way to start, even just a few minutes, without it feeling like another chore?
He'd suggest finding moments already in your day. Leverage existing gaps. Maybe the first 2 minutes when you wake up, before you even reach for the phone. Just breathe, waiting in line somewhere. Instead of scrolling, just be. Be quiet. Notice things. Communing. Maybe turn off the podcast or music for 5 minutes. It's about small, consistent pockets. Not aiming for monk-like silence immediately, just creating little pauses. Micro recharges. He also mentions his older disciplines. Fasting and solitude. He sees these as powerful ways to reset the body, strengthen the will, connect with yourself, and get free from constant input. And then there's the deliberate act of saying no. This is huge,
Definitely hard for many people.
but crucial. The discipline of no is the shield that guards the reservoir, he says. Saying no to things that drain you. Unnecessary meetings, pointless arguments, mindless distractions. It saves your energy for what actually matters to you.
Fasting and solitude. Again, they can sound pretty extreme for modern life. Is there a, beginner's version? A way to get the principle without, going off grid for a week?
For sure. Onunga is practical. He'd likely suggest starting small, maybe a digital fast for an evening, turn off notifications, no social media for a day.
Okay, that sounds doable.
Or for solitude, maybe just a solo walk in nature, no phone, just being with yourself. The core idea is intentional detachment. Stepping back from the constant stream of external stuff, even briefly. It allows for internal recalibration. Breath is another tool. Simple, always available, deep, intentional breathing. It calms the nervous system, brings balance, gathers scattered energy. He calls it a bridge between body, mind, and spirit.
A quick way to reset.
Instantly. And finally, back to gratitude and forgiveness. He calls them powerful techniques for emotional mastery. Gratitude stops the energy drain of complaining and wanting more. It fosters contentment, which preserves energy. And forgiveness, as we discussed, seals the cracks of resentment that drain the spirit day by day.
It really comes down to those daily disciplines, doesn't it? Those small habits.
Yeah.
It shows that energy mastery isn't some mystical thing for special people. It's a series of conscious choices we can all make. And they all seem to connect and reinforce each other.
Exactly right. It's a system. They create a positive feedback loop. Silence helps you breathe deeper. Gratitude makes it easier to forgive. Emotional balance clears mental clutter. And all of that supports a stronger, more resilient body, which then gives you more energy to keep up the practices. It's holistic, a whole system approach to living well.
So wrapping this up, we've really unpacked this idea of energy as our sacred currency, flowing through mind, heart, body, passions. We've looked at the common leaks, the mental static, emotional drains, misused passion that leave us feeling depleted, and crucially, we've explored Onunga's guidance on how to consciously conserve and redirect that energy, building real strength, clarity, balance. It's about living more deliberately, maybe more intelligently, not just pushing harder.
Absolutely. And Reuben Onunga offers this perspective from such a unique place. That blend of rigorous engineering thinking and deep personal experience, including overcoming his own challenges, it gives his work a real weight. Practical wisdom for modern living, as he puts it. A pathway to living whole.
It really does. So as we finish this deep dive, here's something for you to think about. For your life, starting now. Thinking about your own energy lamp, that inner reservoir. What's just one small leak you noticed today? Just one thing that drains you that maybe you could try to seal. Could be silencing notifications for an hour, pausing before you react emotionally, finding a creative channel for that inner fire. Just one thing. Or, flip side, what's one deposit you could make? A few minutes of silence, deliberate deep breaths, a moment of gratitude, forgiveness maybe. How might just one small conscious shift like that, how might it ripple out through your day, your week, strengthening your body, sharpening your mind, bringing just a bit more balance to your soul? This whole deep dive really is an invitation to choose to live differently, to start guarding your energy like the truly sacred thing it is, and just watch what happens. Watch your life rise with strength, clarity, and hopefully a lot more peace.